Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and are having a flare-free day. Thanks so much for coming to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to dive into some self-care rituals that we can take part in or kind of implement into our routine to help manage our symptoms with our chronic illness, as well as maintain our personal well-being. Love to hear what your self-care routines or rituals are in the comments down below. I'm sure that anything that you take part in would be helpful for others to know about so that they can maybe implement it in their own journey. With that, here are some of the self-care routines that I take part in that really help me manage my chronic illness symptoms and maintain my overall well-being. The first thing I want to touch upon is morning mindfulness routines. Now, for myself, my routine is going to look completely different than yours. You might have a night shift, you might have school, you might have work, whatever it is, your routine's gonna look different. But what I like to do in the mornings, especially being a new mom to a 1-year-old, there's diaper changes in the morning, there's getting breakfast ready, there's just getting the bits and bobs organized for the full day. And I know that it's going to be sometimes a hectic start. What I like to do and what I've implemented to really help ground me for the day, help me have a positive mindset in the day, and just kind of manage some symptoms is to meditate in the morning or even to take a breath. Sometimes we wake up and we're like, there's so much we have to do, there's so much on my plate, I have my to-do list still, and it just is like built up. And I think especially with social media and being online, it can make our brains just go nuts sometimes of thinking about what we're missing out on, what we should be doing, how unproductive we were the day before, when all of that is just a social facade of where we should be in burnout culture. So the first thing I like to do and remind myself of is that I can take a breath for myself in the morning. I can just ground myself. I often take part in meditation or meditative practices. I've been really looking at Peloton meditation, and I've been dabbling in meditations here on my channel. It's new for me, but for me, it feels like something I want to give back to the community as something that has helped me. So again, that deep breath in the morning, just we got this, or meditation. I'd be curious to know what your morning mindful routine is. And I know that sometimes mornings can be hectic. So even before noon, if we can implement like a meditative practice for 10 minutes or even a deep breath for like 2 to 3 minutes, just in and out, can really help support us and to kind of create that routine that we're looking for. The next thing that we can implement in our self-care ritual routine is hydration habits. I will be the first to say that I am the worst, or was the worst, at keeping hydrated with water. I survived solely on coffee for years. I don't know how I did it, but I just avoided water. I found it boring. I wasn't really like feeling like I was reaching for it all the time. And I've just realized that hydration and being hydrated through water is so important just for our body function, but also for myself, it's allowed me to have a clearer headspace, and that's been really beneficial with my brain fog. I find I'm more energized without needing that caffeine kick. And chronic illness symptom-wise, I find that hydration and water has really helped manage my cramping. Be curious to know if being hydrated and drinking water helps manage your symptoms. Does it help with your brain fog? Does it help with your cramping? I'd love to know in the comments down below. The next thing that we can do for our self-care ritual routine for our chronic illness journey is having balanced nutrition. Again, I'm going to avoid the term diet. I think it can be triggering to some. I've talked about this in a recent video around what triggers my endo flares. And I noticed that more processed or greasy foods had really impacted the intensity of my endo flares, really made me feel sluggish, and really increased my brain fog symptoms. My cramping, again, was more intensified with that type of food, and the same with alcohol. So I have really been avoiding alcohol for a couple of months now. It's been really beneficial. I find my cramping is less. The intensity of the symptoms they're intense, but I find that because I've eliminated some certain foods that are triggers for myself, I find it's a huge difference in the way that my symptoms present. Balanced nutrition is something that we can start to implement in our self-care ritual. Talk to your doctor or nutritionist to kind of talk about some options for anti-inflammatory options, especially if you deal with endometriosis. Important to talk to your doctor or nutritionist before drastically changing your nutritional outlook. So again, it's something to just keep in mind that inflammatory foods like greasy, highly processed foods can sometimes trigger endo flares or chronic pain flares. I'd like to hear if that's something that you've implemented in your self-care routine. Regular sleep schedules. Again, with social media in the mix, it can be hard when we're scrolling at the end of the night and we're like, where did 2 hours go? My partner and I have really been practicing putting our phones and tablets and stuff away at 9 p.m. If that's not doable for you and you're still working or doing homework, whatever it is, pick a time in the night that you just put your phone away. We put it in the garage. So again, if it's something we really want to check, we have to make that effort to go to the garage to check our devices. And so having a regular sleep schedule has been really beneficial, again, to support our mental health, our well-being. And again, if you're dealing with a chronic illness flare-up, your body deserves rest. It's not lazy to rest, it's not lazy to nap, but having a regular sleep schedule really does set the tone for the day so that you can wake up refreshed and feeling ready for the day. And ultimately trying my best to have that regular routine for myself so that my body knows, okay, it's time to just relax, slow down, and get ready for bed. This goes in line with what I just kind of mentioned. It's a digital detox for our self-care ritual and routine. I find that being on social media and having it bombard us day to day, we're getting news story after news story after thing that like stresses me out, and I'm sure it stresses you out at times. And I found that removing that for a little bit and having a digital detox, if it means, deleting an app or putting a timer on your phone that kind of shuts you off from seeing certain screens, I think is really beneficial. It's allowed my mind to be less busy and less cobweb-like, if that makes sense. I just think it's really important to support our well-being and to not, first and foremost, compare ourselves to others and compare our chronic illness journeys to others. Ultimately, I just feel like it supports our well-being in a way that can be really beneficial. I'd be curious to know if you've ever done a digital detox or are interested in starting a digital detox. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts down below. Journaling, I'm a huge advocate for journaling. It's been really helpful at the beginning of my chronic illness journey to have a private space for me to just unload everything that's been on my shoulders, weighing me down. I find when I put my thoughts on paper, I feel less heavy. I feel like I'm ready to move on from that thought and just enjoy the rest of my day. Journaling ultimately saved myself in a chronic illness journey that was confusing and lonely and isolating. Journaling has also allowed me to gain a sense of gratitude, has allowed me to put my life into perspective on things that make me feel grateful and make me feel blessed to have in my life. Journaling to track symptoms, emotions, or activities can be really beneficial in just managing our symptoms and our well-being in general. Journaling can also help us identify triggers and patterns to kind of evaluate and change to support ourselves in the future. Relaxing baths or showers can be really beneficial for our self-care routine. It can really support relaxation of muscles, can really support us following a flare-up. I find if I have an endo flare, I always turn to heat to really support my body in recovering and feeling that sense of, okay, I can relax finally, like it's over and I can just take time for myself. Creative expression is also a great way to have a self-care routine to support ourselves. Engaging in creative ideas like drawing, coloring, painting, or writing can express our emotions in a really positive mindset, and we can have something to look at after and say, wow, I made that with my own two hands. So it creates a sense of accomplishment in our chronic illness journey. We can look at that creative outlet and say, today I did that, and that's something that was productive and supported my well-being and mental health. Creative expression is something I've been really leaning into. I feel really calm. I feel less stressed. It's again a way to support my digital detox and not let myself focus on what I'm missing on socials. It's a way to use my hands and my brain in a fun way, and it's been really supportive in managing my well-being. Connecting with nature. Ooh, this is a big one, okay? So self-care routines, I always find that my mind and my body feel so much better when I'm connected to nature. Going for a walk. We live in a rural area, so I just find that being surrounded by nature and the calming sounds of birds or rivers running is just so incredibly therapeutic. This can ultimately boost our moods and reduce stress that we deal with every day. Therapeutic massages are also a great way to support our self-care routines with a chronic illness. This can promote relaxation and alleviate muscle tensions that we're holding on on to, especially if we're anticipating a flare-up of pain. I find I always hold tension because I'm like, is it around the corner? Is it going to be a painful day today? And having a massage is just a really nice way to just trigger to the body that it's okay to relax and take this time for myself. Learning to say no is also a great way to support our self-care routines with a chronic illness. Understanding and communicating our limits, learning to say no when necessary helps to avoid unnecessary stress and just, again, allows us to create those boundaries that support our overall well-being. If we know that that event or person is going to drain us and we're going to feel bad afterwards, saying no is definitely a way to support ourselves, and it's definitely something that we should implement in our self-care routines. Acknowledging and celebrating big and small wins is definitely something that should be taken on in 2024 with your self-care routine. It fosters a positive mindset and creates a sense of self-appreciation that we sometimes forget to do when we're in our chronic illness journey. This is not a conclusive list of what you can incorporate in your self-care routines for your chronic illness. So with that, I'd love to hear your comments down below and your self-care routines, and I cannot wait to talk to you on the next one.